Howdy Aggies, welcome back to your weekly preview of the Aggies matchup on Saturday. My goal for each and every one of these is to give you as thorough of a review as possible in 20 minutes or less so that you have the clearest picture of what the Aggies will be up against. From there, what we can do is make predictions together, decide on expectations for the week, and then familiarize ourselves with Appalachian State. I pledge to give you my best on each one of these. Now, if it's your first time to the channel, let us know where you're watching from. Don't worry about hitting the subscribe button yet. I'll hit you up for that a little bit later. It's great to connect with Aggies all over those, so let me know where you're watching from. Now, if you're coming back, you might as well go ahead and hit the subscribe button. But if you're feeling a little apprehensive to hit that button, just wait until the end of the show. Give me a chance to convince you that this is some good bull. All right? Now, this Saturday, any Aggie who attends the game will be treated to a first when Appalachian State descends on Aggie land. This will be their first visit to Kyle Field, and it'll be the first ever matchup between the two teams. Commonly known as App State, their mascot is not a bloomin' onion or a bowl of tableside guac or some other small dish typically served before a main course. The Mountaineers, as they're named, will bring with them back-to-back FCS championships from 2005, 6, and 7. Most notably, the Mountaineers beat 5th-ranked Michigan to claim their cornerstone win, making them the first FCS team to ever beat an AP-ranked FBS squad. It was enough to get them on the cover of SI and receive votes in the final AP FBS poll. 7 years later, they would finally join the FBS and have been no stranger to the top 25 while being a part of the Sun Belt Conference. Since putting on the big boy pads, the Mountaineers have never missed a bowl game. After foregoing the postseason for a couple years due to NCAA rules when transitioning from FCS to FBS, the Wolverines would get their revenge by welcoming Appalachian State to the ranks with a 52-14 beatdown. They played just their 9th ever Power 5 game while part of the FBS last year when facing Miami, the Aggies' Week 3 opponent this year, who narrowly escaped the contest 25-23. A few weeks later, App State would not settle for a simple moral victory when beating number 14 ranked Coastal Carolina, although not your atypical marquee win. In 2019, they won their 3rd straight Sun Belt Conference championship and 5th straight bowl game after going 12-1 on the season by sweeping the FBS Carolinas under Eli Drinkwitz's tutelage. They did so in fine fashion by beating Mac Brown's Tar Heels on a last-second blocked field goal. Ironically, considering UNC beat App State this last week after the Mountaineers failed to convert on a 2-point conversion, especially considering Mac Brown was their head coach in 1983. Brown left after 1 year, going 6-5 for the season, to take the offensive coordinator position at Oklahoma. App State would get more stability with the next 3 coaches, but would continue to be a jumping-off point for coaches to advance from Group of 5 to Power 5. Scott Satterfield led the team from 2013 to 2018 and is now the head coach at Louisville. Elia, as his mom calls him, took over in 2019 and one-upped Mac Brown by leaving after 1 year to take over at Missouri after going 12-1 and beating Mac Brown as mentioned. Enter Sean Clark, and 2-time All-American while playing for Appalachia in the 90s as an offensive lineman. After pursuing a master's with Louisville, Clark found himself as a GA for the Cardinals and then subsequently made his way from Eastern Kentucky, then to Purdue and Kent State before landing with Appalachian State as an O-line coach under Satterfield. Clark quickly rose to assistant head coach, which made his hire to head coach a no-brainer, being second in command and a Mountaineer faithful when Drinkwitz left. Clark squeezed 9 wins out in the regular season last year, but lost handily to Western Kentucky, leaving a bad taste in the mouth with their first bowl loss since joining the FBS ranks. Appalachian State, despite playing in the Sun Belt, is no slouch. They were 26th in the nation last year in total offense, compiling over 6,000 yards of offense, 2,700 yards on the ground, averaging 440 yards per game, which is north of 6 yards per play. In 2021 on defense, the Mountaineers were stingy as hell, with opponents only tallying 4,800 yards of total offense, good enough to hold their opposition to 5.2 yards per play and 344 yards per game. 28th in the country was a nice compliment to their offensive production. The passing attack was ranked just outside the top 10 nationwide, with Chase Bryce completing 65% of his passes this year. When he wasn't throwing for 9.5 yards per attempt, the 6'3", 235-pound senior who originally committed to Clemson can get a few yards with his legs as a bruiser. He tends to give away at least one INT per game, and the trend continued week 1. Bryce is flanked by Nate Noel. Not a big back, but he's one who's given them solid production, gaining over 1,000 yards last year, and he's on pace to far surpass that this year. They easily switch over to Cameron Peoples for short yardage at 6'2", 225. Out wide, Bryce will distribute to Deshaun Davis and Christian Horn in large part. Neither possesses superior size, but Christian does have the ability to go up for the 50-50 ball. However, you don't pass for over 3,000 yards in a season by throwing only 2 guys. Expect App State to distribute to at least 3 to 4 other wide receivers regularly to diversify their attack. The offense is bolstered by a somewhat young but fairly significantly undersized offensive line. They have some experience, even though they have more youth, but only possess 2 starters weighing in at 300-plus pounds in junior Cooper Hodges and junior Damian Daly. This by no means guarantees that they are not effective. While the group may be at a size disadvantage, they have willed the Mountaineers to the 12th ranked rushing attack and 13th passing. Running 54% on first down, their attack is extremely balanced. They run 42% on second, and then it bumps up to 61% on third. They lean exclusively on the run during third and short. They're even on third and medium, and they pass exclusively on third downs longer than 7 yards when not faced with yardage of 20-plus yards to make the line a gain. So this matchup is going to boil down to a front 7 battle. As anybody in the SEC knows, may not be something they think about in the Sun Belt, but this is where the tell of the tape is going to be. Their offensive line will be tasked with creating gaps by stretching plays and getting our backers out of place. Aggies can expect a safety to creep down into the box for added protection while allowing our secondary to hold. And the reason for this is because they're going to stretch us, and they're going to bring in 2 tight ends. And so it's going to be good to have an extra person in the box. Now, look, App State is no stranger to this concept. So with a strong rushing attack, proven by nearly 300 yards this last Saturday for 6.7 yards per carry, play action will be strategically dropped into the play calling rotation while the receivers stretch the field. I mean, with 12 plays of 20-plus yards on Saturday, their super senior QB, he's had no problem finding open options as the zones are schemed and the one-on-one matchups are leveraged. So he will do that, and they will look downfield quite a bit off the play action. But the tell of this story is not about and if it's not about how the gaps will be filled or not filled, we will be about how well is the quarterback protected. If we can get to the quarterback, we're talking about a different kind of game. If we can't get to him, then we are talking about a significantly opposite game. So expect significantly more pressure this week from a blitz perspective, as we're going to make it our priority to get to the QB. A&M had plenty of success with this, against Sam Houston State, but we didn't bring any pressure with blitzes. But App State's no stranger to this. So, like I said earlier, they're gonna play multiple tight ends. They're gonna mix and match, and they're gonna try and work in those extra tight ends to stretch out the line of scrimmage. That way they can have extra protection. Now, key battles will be on the inside, though, since it's going to be difficult for our defensive ends to get home since they're going out wide to get around the extra defender. So look for the inside to see if we can't get across face and get up and get some sacks through the middle. Now, should the Aggies have trouble getting home, even with blitzes, our DBs will be challenged to make plays on the ball with pass breakups and holding tight coverage. This is a battle our DBs haven't had placed firmly on them in the past, but I feel confident that they're going to be up to the task. Now let's rotate over to the defensive side. For everything they do well on offense, defense can't make the same case. There were many factors to their defensive performance on Saturday: blowing assignments, loose coverage, and simply being on the field an exorbitant amount of time weighed pretty heavily on their ability to hold. But game dynamics can't fully account for allowing 567 total yards on 71 plays for an 8-yard average. The Mountaineer rush D finds themselves looking up at the rest of college football at 110th in the country. So allowing 6+ yards per carry on 35 totes gives up over 200 yards per game, not something they're proud of. This is not to be outdone by their secondary, though, as they will be hemorrhaging all year long after starting off ranked 119th in the country. Giving up nearly 15 yards per completion, first downs are going to be plentiful for their opponents. UNC totaled 29 first downs on the day and averaged 6 plays per touchdown on non-field goal scoring drives, while only punting twice. And to make matters worse, App State has given up 8.5 yards per carry on first down. And it only gets worse through the air, allowing 15 yards per completion on first down. If that wasn't bad enough, the outlook only gets bleaker as the game goes on, as the Mountaineers' average yards per carry allowed balloons to 12 yards in the fourth quarter. Red zone conversions lend no mercy. With 4 trips to their red zone, App State is allowing a TD percentage of 100% conversion rate. So, like I said, as good as their offensive production is, the defensive stats that I just presented to you are just absolutely devastating. Remember what I talked to you about in the Sam Houston post game and what it means to be able to disallow so many of those passing yards, right? You see what Appalachian State is giving up passing-wise, especially in the fourth quarter. We're talking about, well, actually, and some of this is even rush yards. When you get up to allowing 15 yards per completion, 12 yards per run, you're allowing first downs on these at some point. And that is just not something that you're going to be able to sustain. So these defensive stats are pretty staggering. I will say, though, if there's anyone to look for on that defense, keep your eye on number 15, Andrew Parker. He's 6'2", 240. He's their linebacker. He's their guy. He's their dude. He has a real chance to play on Sundays. He is a transfer from Arkansas, and he led this defense week 1 with 8 tackles. But one player makes a team not, and the reality is that their top 8 tacklers, only one of those is a defensive lineman. And the reality is that they're significantly undersized at the line of scrimmage on the defensive side, with their top tackler in the trench being DeAndre Price, and he's doing his best with all 265 pounds of him. Passagiata comes in at 245, and he's their second most, their lineman with the second most tackles, and then that's followed by Jordan Earl as the heaviest of the set at 295. But these guys are like their 9th and 10th best tacklers so far. It has only been 1 game, so maybe that will improve. They may be focused on trying to exploit one of our weaknesses, though, since they're a little bit undersized on both sides of the line, by using quickness. But here's the thing, you know, when you're thinking about using quickness, you're thinking about shading one side or the other, cut across the face, hitting the gaps, really difficult. A lot of like what you saw with Sam Houston State. But the proclivity is that they're not much of one to do stunts and twists like we saw against Sam Houston State. They're pretty much a bring the house kind of defense, and they go straight at you. They just try to overload you on one side. So it's going to give our linemen a big opportunity to go one-on-one quite a bit, which should benefit them. So time for prediction and expectations. Now, what do you want to see on Saturday? Pause the video, think about it, do what you need, put it in the comments. Let me know what you want to see on Saturday. For me, I think the first thing I want to see is improvement from the offensive line and QB. These are got to be the 2 biggest areas, right? I think it's the thing that's on most everybody's mind. From the QB position, what do we all want to see? We all want to see non-forced throw. We want to see good decisions, and we want to see INTs completely eliminated, right? And I think we can do that. I think that's something that Haynes has in him, but I'd like to see it. I need to see it. And I need to know that he's capable of it as well. So this is a great game for him to do that. I think he's going to have a pretty clean pocket for most of the game, based off of what our offensive line is going to be going up against. They actually tend to be smaller than what Sam Houston State had. So we'll see what their quickness is like and if they can exploit that or not. I think I want to see from our offensive line proper assignments read, and kind of just like what we saw with Wyckoff and Zune on those sides of the line whenever I showed you that film. Want to make sure that we're getting our feet where they need to be so that we can get leverage. And I want to give King time to make the decisions that he needs to make. So with that being said, my final thing from there is I'd like to see the check down from King when the throw is not there. So let's not have any forced throws. So play clean and execute. That's what I need to see off of the offensive line and quarterback. On the defensive side, I just think really what they got to do is their job and fill gaps. I think they got to be where their assignment is, and we'll be just fine. We should be floating a guy down into the box, give us a little bit extra if they're going to be going 6 or 7 on the line, and that's fine. We have a very physical and very powerful defensive line, and I think they're going to be getting quite a bit of pressure this time. I do look forward to some additional blitzes that we wouldn't have normally done, being so vanilla the first week. So with that, I think we have quite a bit of potential on both sides of the ball, being a really great matchup for us. Their defense not being very strong, as you saw the stats. So hopefully give us an opportunity on our offense to really get some momentum there. Now, I went ahead and put my prediction down first, and then I went and looked at what the spread is. And it looks like the spread started at -16.5, and it's risen to -17 in favor of your Aggies. My prediction, as I put down, and I wanted to be conservative, so what I came up with is 35-17. We did 31 against Sam Houston State. I think we're going to figure out a few more things this week. You're supposed to grow the most from first to second week, as they say. And I think it's a little bit easier matchup as well for us. So that's why I'm going to go slightly higher on the offensive production side. And from the defensive side of things, you might be thinking, well, why 17? Why 17? I think this is the upper end. I just don't see us allowing any more than 17. I do think it's possible, and what we could see is a pick 6 or something like that, and that would really have been the defense of allowing only 10 points, which I think is reasonable in the realm of possibility. They get one drive that they score on, another for a field goal, something along those lines, but 17 because maybe we gave up a short field off an INT or something like that, or a pick 6. But I think 17 is about the highest it's going to be. I really do think that our defense could shut them down again or keep it to about 7 to 10 points. It's possible, I think, for our offense to get on up in the 40 range, but I think that's wishful thinking at this point, don't you? We'll probably believe that when we see that from our offense. Overall, though, I think this is a really good matchup for us this week. I have us winning, I think, pretty easily. I hope it's as easy as Secretariat winning the Belmont Stakes and that hand ride and the way he did that. But, time will tell. We'll have to be there. So let's see what happens. I'm optimistic and really looking forward to see what we're going to do with this game with Miami looming the following week. So stay tuned here. Like and subscribe if you haven't, again, because I'll bring you the post-game reaction next Sunday after it's all said and done. So until then, thanks and gig 'em.